My special guest in conversation today, I love seeing her. I just like seeing her. She just makes me smile, and I think that's a nice thing to do in this day and age. We don't smile enough, and she makes me smile not only because she's very successful, because she seems to do it and it appears to be effortless. She's terribly successful. In her latest novel, which we've waited for some time, we go back to the beginning of young Jane Tennison. In Tennison, Lynda La Plante, a pleasure as always.
Thank you very much.
It's always nice to see you, because I always think... Because when we talked last time, had you already started writing Tennison? How long ago did you start writing this?
It's got to be 2 years.
Oh, right. So you'd started writing.
Yeah. Well, it took a very long time to, when they say gestation, because I'd never, ever contemplated writing the young Jane Tennison. And it's very difficult when you have an iconic actress like Dame Helen Mirren playing the role. You just don't think about it. And it happened at Sheffield. I was doing an event in Sheffield.
We're at Crucible, were it?
Oh, love. And somebody in the audience just said, where did Jane Tennison come from? And when they go to the Q&A sessions, you've got to bat and ball a bit, because you never know where these questions are coming from. I mean, there I am promoting my last book, Twisted, and out of left field comes, where did Jane Tennison come from? And I said, I don't really know. I knew where Jackie Moulton, who advised me on the writing of Prime Suspect. So I actually stuck at her age. So I'd never done a background of where she'd come from, what school she went to. And it just sort of sat in the brain, thinking about it. And as a result...
out comes the book. So through that one question, literally just chucked at you in a Q&A session, you suddenly thought, wait a minute, well, let's create her. Let's take her back to the beginning. We know what she's like, but what was she like? How did it all begin? What a clever concept. What a clever concept.
Well, I must say, I must thank that lady in the audience. But it actually has proved to be very, very exciting, because all the research I've done in DNA, police procedure, even just cameras in a station on an interrogation, uniforms, everything. I'm back in 1972, 73. So there is none of those great patrol cars, the radios, no mobile phones. And it's hard to believe that it doesn't sound all that long ago, but it is.
Yes.
Just at the end of the Craze career.
Well, look at the resurgence in interest in the Craze all of a sudden with the film Legacy. And all of a sudden you think, but wait a minute, they died years ago. Now, every time I turn on the television, there is the last interview that Reggie Craig gives in his bed, and he married this woman in the it was all very peculiar. I mean, the whole thing, but I looked at him and I couldn't work out if I thought he was evil. One of the enforcers, part of one of the gangland people at the time, he said it's wrong to call them legends. They weren't legends. They were just bullies. That's what they did. They bullied by fear and intimidation. And it kind of worked because London was different. It was different then. People paid protection.
The legend.
Yes.
The television film created them as a legend. But the reality was 30 years of their adult life was spent separated for twins and behind bars. And you can say, oh, well, they had the luxury in their cells. No, they were in prison for the best part of their lives. And I've seen the footage of, Reggie Cray dying with the tubes up his nose. And you look, there is a man. Yes, he may have got married to someone, a young woman. But reality is he has no children, no grandchildren, neither of them. No. And so the punishment on there, which was very glossed over, it's always glossed over. You say 30 years of your life behind a closed door. Do you want that? And there was a very interesting documentary recently on Mad Frankie Fraser. and talking to all those old villains of the time. They're the ones with they've now got banana-shaped fingers. And they go, oh yeah, well, we did it for the money, didn't we?
But they've got a look. I interviewed Frankie Fraser.
Did you?
I interviewed Frankie Fraser, and he came in, and he had a young girlfriend at the time, a lot younger, and he came in, and he was just a little man with a very smart suit on, but it was not a properly fitted suit. It was the sort of thing that an older person would buy. And I had to keep looking to remind myself that he'd been certified criminally insane on like 2 or 3 occasions. And I said, when did you first get into trouble? He said, I was in prison, Steve. He said, and because he wasn't blessed with height, and he said, and a prison warder, he said something to me, and I thought, I can either take it or I can do him some damage. And he did him some damage. He slashed at him with a razor. And that's where he got the Mad Frankie bit came later on, because he had to prove that being small didn't mean that he was feared of anybody. But you're right.
His profession was as a slasher, and also to find out that the men employed by these gangsters to do their dirty business, i.e. slash somebody's face, used to be paid by the stitches. So when in the newspaper they said, Bomber Johnson had 52 stitches to his face from a slashing last night, he goes, that's 52 quid, thank you very much. And they were paid £1 a stitch.
Wow. There are tours in the East End of the Krays' haunts, where they went, the site where their house would have been in Vanzay Whatsit Road, and the Blind Beggar is on the tour, and the other pubs and things like that. And you think, all these years later, we're still fascinated by 2 men who weren't particularly bright, but seem to have got this cult status. People, sell bits of their memorabilia.
I have an extraordinary photograph. It's quite rare, because it's of their mother, Violet, who was a very large lady, very beautifully dressed, her perm blonde hair, and on her right side is George Raft, and on her left, very rarely photographed, is the Krays' father, who was a Romany gypsy. I bet you didn't know that.
I didn't know that, no.
Yes, known as a Korengo because he was a house dweller. But he was their father, and therefore, all the history about the Krays, the dark black eyes and the expressionless feature of their eyes, they were so black. And then you look at the father, gypsy eyes.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah,
I knew about Violet.
Not many people do.
No, well, there is our fact that we didn't know. But the one thing that fascinates me, I remember Violet, when she died, they let Ronnie out of prison, and they put him with the tallest police officer they could find to make him look small. The East End turned out for this. I think Diana Dawes was at the funeral. I think Barbara Windsor might have gone to the funeral. But they deliberately wanted to make him look smaller, so that people wouldn't go, oh, he's a very big man, because they weren't particularly tall.
No.
But isn't that interesting? I didn't know that they came from gypsy stock.
Gypsy heritage.
No idea.
He was very rarely there. And Charlie Kray, their older brother, was very tall, big man.
Charlie Kray didn't seem to learn. He'd been in prison once. He came outside, and then blow me down within a short space of time, he's done for cocaine dealing again. And you think, do you not learn? Do you not learn? But it was a different time. So when Jane Tennison has gone back, and we're in what, 73? 73.
It's just the tail end coming in. The violence around Hackney is actually bubbling. But we're moving slowly towards the time when all the drinks clubs and the strippers and the drug dealing went on. And she is so naive. I've loved working on the character, to think that I'm going to make her grow. I don't know how many books later.
3.
But I'm going to see, and you're going to watch her grow into that cold, cool, I am Detective Chief Inspector.
Has she been cast?
No, this search is on. I want to find a star. I'll find one. Yeah. I'll find her somewhere.
Are you looking for an unknown? Because this is going to be filmed, ladies and gentlemen. This has been commissioned, so it will be filmed. So you're looking for an unknown?
Yeah, unknown. And it's going to be very exciting. I've already been to a couple of drama schools, because I will spread the net, and I will bring in casting people that will actually, I'll say, don't please bring me actors that I know. I want unknowns. Because the other key element of this period is not only just the rock and roll and the music, but it's how young the police were.
Yes.
Really, really young.
That's what we used
detectives.
to joke about. We used to say, you're getting old when policemen start looking young. And it's true now. You look at them out there and you think to yourself, you don't even look old enough to be at school, let alone out there patrolling.
When they've got those helmets on.
Yes. Yes. I still have a lot of respect for the police, though. I always have had a lot of respect. My mother used to work for the police.
Really?
Down in Henley, yes. She used to work for the arresting officer. She wasn't in the police force, she was a civil servant, but she found it fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
It has always fascinated me, but, I have only ever been shown incredible respect. I went to a lunch of 500 ex-CID officers. I can't tell you, I loved it.
I bet they loved you.
Meeting. Oh,
they loved you.
A few of them are going to come in as extras.
Are they? She likes them that much. Listen, we have to take a very, very quick break. A lot more from Lynda La Plante. Tennison, every story has a beginning, and before Prime Suspect, there was Tennison. Fascinating lady. More from her after this. Special guest in conversation. She's always a fascinating person to me, always, and to everybody else. As she was telling us before the break, 500 ex-CID people in a room, and she's going to use some of them as extras because she's got a roving eye as well, has our Lynda La Plante. She knows what she's looking for. She's looking for an actress to play Jane Tennison, but not necessarily a seasoned actress. This can be a part that can make somebody. This is a part that, because it's going to be is it a six-parter? Yeah. Six-parter. So that's a lot of work. That's a big budget.
Very big budget, and I'm really enjoying working with ITV because they're so behind the project, and for them to allow me to say, look, unknowns, I really want faces in there that haven't been seen in every single series so far, that haven't just come out of EastEnders or Coronation Street. Not that those shows aren't terrific, they are. I just want the freshness to be absolutely sometimes very shocking. Because what happens in the book and obviously in the TV show is going to be very shocking.
Yes.
I hope.
What a great job, though, to go around thinking that you will see somebody and you'll know when you see them because you've already seen them in your mind. You've just got to see them in the flesh. And you don't want somebody who's been in another show because then people go, oh, of course they were in EastEnders, all this and that. What you want to do is take somebody who then can be Jane Tennison.
Yes, and will actually make an audience or a reader believe this is how it happened in those days. This is what... I mean, discrimination in the original Prime Suspect was the underbelly, and you saw her deal with it. That is nothing.
Compared to what it was like in 73.
I mean, there's only 2 women at the station. Yeah. And they don't even have their own lavatory. No. And when one of them pins up a notice on the door, it's disgusting graffiti written all over it, and they take it down. And so the discrimination was so rife. And this is actually coming in at the year when there was the integration of policewomen. And, most people say, well, I don't believe in it, Yeah. Get them out.
Yes. Yes, you can't believe that things have changed in relatively short space of time for women in the police force. It just didn't, as you say, 2 people. And so here she is fighting it. So does she join? Are we seeing her right at the beginning of her career?
She's actually coming out of Hendon College, marching with the white gloves.
Wow.
And she's only been a probationary officer for 3 weeks at Hackney, and the sergeant, she says, am I going out on patrol, sir? He says, no, you're bloody not. He said, you had the traffic going up the wrong-way system last night. And so she's always in trouble. But what you see is there's another side to her. She's quite aggressive in her need for a career. She loves it.
So she's feisty.
She's feisty, but learns to button her mouth.
Right.
She's constantly the watcher. So you go through with her first autopsy. You go through with her first reaction to a murder victim. You go through watching a detective have to tell somebody that their daughter's dead. And as she learns, she grows. She makes very big mistakes, and there's a lot of tragedy occurs. But I love that process. I love her because she's quite funny.
Yes.
Terrible sister.
Yes.
At one point, her sister said, her sister's getting married. And she's got this bridesmaid dress. And she says to her, have you tried it on? You know, the dressmaker made costumes for Alma Cogan. And I don't know if the listeners out there remember Alma. She used to have these wonderful tight bodices and these huge splayed out skirts. And actually the thought of having a bridesmaid dress made by a dressmaker who made clothes for Alma Cogan, she won't even unzip the bag. And when she does put it on, it's a nightmare. Peach taffeta.
Peach. Ooh, peach taffeta. Yeah. Cast your mind back, ladies. Cast your mind back. So, because we're talking period here, you're having to film in period.
Yeah.
So in other words, everything's coming out of the mothballs, the police cars.
Myself.
Yourself. Me. I don't know if did they have radios in those days?
Very large.
They were very large radios. Mainly a lot of people, the bobbies out on the beat didn't have anything, so there were police boxes, and they were all over London.
And you had to run from a car to find them, and they were often out of order.
Yes.
So you had to then go to a phone kiosk and put money in to make a call back to the police station.
It was that basic. Basic.
And the you know what's so used to the sirens? The siren was a tinkly bell.
Yes.
You had to hold your finger on it.
There was a bell on the top of the car.
Yes, ding, 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 as they passed you. And even the cars, like the Hillman Minx. He's like,
we had a Hillman Minx.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah. Too right.
And it's all that lack of what we're so used to, the speed we're so used to, and the mobile phone. And actually, when you think, how easy it is to keep in touch and contact with people, where in those days you've got to say, go find a phone box and call him in and say he's got to go see his granny. And you can't believe that is going to go on, but it does. And then
lots of brown Macs, I suspect.
Yes.
Always brown Macs.
Brown
always.
Macs. Those thick rubber sole shoes.
Yes. Yeah.
But also it's the music. And I had a wonderful thing, is that I heard Nights in White Satin.
Moody Blues.
In my head. And Justin, who wrote it, has given carte blanche for it to be on the show.
No, really?
Yes. It's so exciting. And so the music is very, very powerful part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's all my memories, too. Janis Joplin, break another little piece of my heart now, baby. I've had a ball writing this book.
I bet.
Yeah, loved every minute.
And there are more, are there? Where do we finish with it? I don't want to give too much away because it's a nice period piece. So this is early Jane Tennison. Where do we... How old is she?
She's only 24 when we finish book 1.
Oh, right. We got a long way to go.
You're telling me?
We got a long way to go. I bet you've started, haven't you?
Yes,
I thought you had.
Started it.
I bet you're halfway through, aren't you?
I know.
You know where she's going, don't you?
But I know where she's going.
Yeah. You're so clever. You're so clever because I mean, I keep going back to that person who was there asking that one question, which now all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know whether or not writers get to that stage where they go, what am I going to write about next? And then something comes out of the blue and you go, of course, how obvious. Yeah. How obvious.
Never thought of it. But I'm not the only one, because Raymond Chandler was once asked by somebody where his character, the famous detective, Philip Marlowe, came from. And he said, I have no idea. So I'm not the only one.
No. But what a nice person to invent. What a person to have in your imagination. But also, how much you can play with it.
It's terrific to actually aim. I've got a very high place to go to because of Dame Helen Mirren's performance. Yeah. So to get up to there is going to be wonderful. And it could last forever.
So excited. When do they start filming? Well, you've got to
January, we hope.
You've got to find somebody.
A lot of locations. We've got to find our girl. Find her. I mean, it's wonderful because I'm getting a lot of material sent in and photographs sent in.
Yeah. And do you have once you write something like this, Lynda, do you then have carte blanche that they say, right, we have to come to you and get approval from you? Is this right, or are they allowed a bit of journalistic license?
No, I'm writing it.
Right.
So
there's no changing it. They have to go by what you're doing.
Yeah.
And do you write to a budget then?
Yes.
Right.
I have to.
Right.
You know, I have to know where in Hackney we could film, and there's a situations are going to be very problematic to find the locations that are okay for that era.
Yes, of course.
You know, so much has been pulled down.
I know. Shameful.
Police stations gone and hospitals have gone. So it's literally location is going to be hard to find.
Well, luckily there are parts of London which you can find and could probably double up, but you're right, it has to fit the period, and it's got to look accurate, because there are those people who will watch these and go, well, of course that wouldn't have been around in the 70s.
Yeah, but with the internet, you know, you really do have somebody that's going to watch every frame and get you if you make a mistake.
Yes.
You know, wrong number, should have been backwards. They're on. I mean, very small thing was that I was asked, you know, what Jane Tennison was like. I said, well, she's tall, she's, you know, describing her, and immediately on the internet, back it came. No, she's not tall. She's 5'4", and I thought, no, she isn't. I'm sure Helen's taller than that. But then everybody's tall to me because I'm so short. So it's like...
You're a giant in literature, woman. What are you talking about? It is. I mean, it's a gift, and it's worked beautifully for you for years.
Yeah, I'm
just
very
think,
fortunate.
if we'd actually lost you to acting, we wouldn't have had this, would we? You'd have been still treading the boards at the Royal Shakespeare.
Yes, or doing some dreadful pantomime somewhere.
Can you imagine?
Oh, yes, he did. No,
he didn't.
But
listen,
thank you very much.
No, it's always a thrill, and I really look forward to seeing this on television.
Thank you.
I love period pieces. I love pieces because that's my era. That's the time, and so you will get it right. Otherwise, I shall phone you up and come round and haunt you forever. Lynda La Plante's Tennison is out now. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would love people to go back to enjoying food again and cooking. And actually, all you do with the chicken is you season the outside of it with some salt and pepper. You put a little bit of water inside it so it steams from the inside. You put it in the oven for an hour.